Estate Cleanout, How to Handle Personal Belongings After a Death. 7 pro tips to help with an estate cleanout. We'll talk about these right after this. Hello and welcome back. This week's video is on estate cleanout, how to handle personal belongings after a death, and the 7 pro tips on how to handle getting a home ready for estate sale. When dealing with estate cleanouts, there are costs such as your time and money. It is a difficult time when you're going through the loss of a loved one. It's stressful, and now you've had this added to your plate, and it just adds more to the overwhelming or seemingly overwhelming stress that you're already dealing with. You're probably not aware, but there's actually a business called estate liquidation businesses. And there are roughly about 14,000 in the United States. And there's actually an American Society of Estate Liquidators. And as part of that society, you have to be a member in good standing. You have to have a certain amount of training. And they actually have a code of ethics, very similar to what I had to go through to get my real estate license and what I continually have to do in my continuing education to be a realtor. So this estate liquidation business, what they usually help out is when people are going through life-changing events, such as the loss of a loved one, or a divorce, or debt that is just so crushing that you have to sell a house that you may not want to sell. And there are items that need to be moved, and you may not want to take them with you, and you may want to sell them or at least get rid of them in some way. And there are companies that help you with that. There are actually almost 10,000 Americans that turn 65 every single day. So with a growing number of aging people, there is more and more passing away. And unfortunately, that is the cycle of life. And so when this happens and the loved ones are left behind, they have to deal with a house that may have years and years of collected items. You know, if somebody passes away at, say, 80, they've had probably 50 years to accumulate things. And that's a lot of stuff to have to go through and to decide what to keep and what not to keep. So it can be very daunting to think about going through everything that grandma left or your parents left. And so it is a difficult task, especially during a stressful period of time. Finding time to go through all of that stuff can be very time consuming. So I've come up with 7 pro tips to help you with a estate cleanout. For full disclosure, I have a colleague in the California area who came up with these original 7 pro tips, and they're excellent. So I'm sharing those with you, and they apply to Florida just like they do to California. One note before giving you those 7 pro tips, I'm not trying to drag you along, but be very, very careful if you choose to have an estate sale about who you select to have it. Make sure that they are highly recommended to you. I wouldn't recommend that you just go through, well, we don't have a phone book anymore, but just Google and find somebody that you don't know. Definitely want to get somebody that has a lot of reviews or that comes recommended by somebody like me. Somebody that has experience at this, because quite honestly, this is a business where somebody, just say I did, tomorrow I could say, I'm going to be an estate agent and I'm going to help people sell their estate, even though I don't know anything about the value of items in there. I don't know jewelry very well. I don't know antiques or paintings. I know the famous ones, but that's about it. So you have to be careful, because you could pick somebody that really could cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. So it's very important to pick somebody that is very experienced and is going to be working on your side to help you get the most amount of money possible for everything in the estate. So the first pro tip would be to find financial documents and set them aside into a safe place. These documents would primarily, most important would be to find a will, if you can find a will, a deed, anything that has to do with real estate, the property, life insurance policies, stock certificates, 401k statements, investment statements, bank statements, anything that would be a record of things of value. Also, you're going to want to find any receipts that you can find for the house, because there's probably going to need to be a tax filing made, and it would be really, really helpful to have all the financial records, including receipts, ready for when you have to do that tax filing. Not saying that you will have to, but there's a good chance that you will, and you want to be prepared. So any financial documents that you find, you want to set them aside in a certain place so that you have them readily available when you're called upon. The second recommendation is to pay attention to things, meaning as you're going through things, pay real close attention and be very detail-oriented about going through things. The reason being is that you may find things stuck in odd places. So make sure that you have your eyes really peeled open to find things. For example, people are known to stick cash in odd places. You might find some cash in a book. You might find it in a coat pocket or a pants pocket. So definitely go through all the books and, shake the books and make sure there's no money in them. And check the clothes as well. And look in places high up in closets. Sometimes they'll stick valuable things there. Sock drawers, underwear drawers, things like that. That's normal places. But sometimes they stick them in odd places. Found, obviously, the old thinking about putting it in a mattress. It's true. Some people actually do that. You could find money in just about anywhere that somebody thinks they could hide it. Couches, I've heard of that, where the back of a couch had $6,000 in it. So, why, I don't know, but you definitely want to make sure that you go through things and, don't want to send you on a money hunt and have you come up empty and be disappointed with me, but definitely want you to pay attention and look carefully, because not only is there cash money that you might find, but you could find important documents that are in odd places, but they put them there for safekeeping, and only they know why they did. So pay close attention, please. The third tip is try to get family members to help. You don't have to be alone in this, and you may be the personal representative or the person in charge, but it doesn't mean you have to do everything by yourself, especially if you have family members that are expecting to get something. Even more reason to have them help out. You could have family members go through the personal belongings and put stickies on things that they want themselves, and make a list of things that they pretty sure that were in the estate that they would like. So besides the making of lists, you could actually get them to help you hunt through the house for the important documents that you're going to need to go through this. Fourth thing is to try to find photos and memorabilia. Even if those things aren't important to you, and they may be, and that might be why you were picked as the personal representative, but somebody in the family probably does want those things. So even if they're not important to you, definitely secure those and put them in a safe place, because there's usually somebody in the family that wants to keep things like that. I am the keeper of things in my family. My father's given me pictures, and my mother's given me pictures, and I cherish those things because they're pictures of their parents, with my grandparents, and their grandparents, who I may have never met, but they're family. And I can look back and you can see the family resemblance in the pictures, and it's cool. It's really nice having connection to family, and that's what pictures and memorabilia do, is they help you make connections with your family and your past, your history. The fifth thing is to talk to an estate agent before you go to sell any of the items. Make sure that they come through. You might have to pay them an hourly fee or a flat fee to come through and give you an estate value of everything that they find, and they'll make a detailed list and what each thing value is worth. But the reason why I'd highly encourage that is because if you take something of value from the estate and you go sell it individually, you're not likely to get top dollar. Say you go to an antique store, they're not necessarily going to want to give you top dollar because their business is to buy low and sell high. So versus an estate sale, it's going to be to the general public. So somebody there may be willing to pay full retail rather than what an antique collector is willing to pay you. Same thing goes for jewelry. So I would highly encourage you to let an estate appraiser go through it and give you value on things before you do anything along the lines of selling individual items. Some things may be better off sold individually. Say, for example, a baseball card collection. You might be better off taking that to a place that specializes in that. But it would still be a wise idea to have the estate appraiser look through things, and they may tell you, we don't really deal with baseball card collections. So, and then you go take that individually. But better to let them look at everything as a whole first before you start separating things out and actually devaluing the estate and the estate sale possible profits. So the sixth thing was actually what I just mentioned. The fifth thing was to get an estate sale company in first. The sixth thing is to get an estate appraiser and to pay their fee so that you have a good idea of what things are worth. It's better to spend maybe a couple $100 to know the value of everything and make thousands of dollars because you actually know what things are worth. So a little money spent could be worth a lot of money gained. The seventh thing is something I've already alluded to, but that is to get help whenever possible. And more specifically, it's important to get people, family members, to help you going through things, through the personal belongings and looking for financial documents. But you're probably going to need some help with the physical side of it. There's probably going to be some clutter that really needs to go in order for the house to sell for the most amount of money. So you may have excess furniture. You basically want to declutter and make the place nice and simple. You definitely want to have it furnished. And that was my important note for this part, is when you are taking things out, I would not recommend to make the place bare. And the reason being is that a furnished house sells quicker and usually for more money, which you want both. So it's, for some psychological reason, buyers have a hard time picturing themselves in the house when everything is blank. When they've got a blank canvas in front of them, they just can't picture themselves in it. And I've seen this over and over again where a house that actually has furniture sells much faster than a house that doesn't. Perfect example is a friend of mine that built a house in a very nice neighborhood, and the house sat and sat and sat, and finally he was advised that a furnished house sells faster, so they moved in, and the house obviously looked lived in, and he sold the house like that because people could now see furniture, and even if it wasn't their furniture, they might say, well, I don't like that couch, but my couch would go there, my chair would go there, the lamp would go there, the TV would go there. And when it's just a blank canvas, they cannot imagine things. But when there's furniture in there, they start to put themselves into the house. Another note about that is you definitely want to remove anything that's personal memorabilia. Buyers don't like to see things that would keep them from seeing themselves in the house. So if the house looks extremely lived in, like it has stuff all on the refrigerator from the kids or the grandkids, or there's lots of pictures, that's actually better to have that removed so that the buyer can picture themselves living in that house. Another thing, is to remove religious artifacts. I don't mean to offend anybody. I am a person of faith, and so I don't really like recommending this, but as a real estate representative, I'm telling you what's best for you, and that is to remove things that might put off a buyer or keep them from seeing the house as their own. So do everything you can to make it easier for the buyer to put themselves into the home and picture the home as their own. And then it's going to make it easier for the buyer to want to buy that house and make it their own. Well, that's it for this week's video. I hope that you found it helpful and informative. Please hit the like button, and also, if you would, hit the subscribe button. What that does is tell Google, which owns YouTube, that you found this video helpful, and Google will use their analytics, which is mathematic algorithms, and they will share other videos like this with you, and it'll also help other people to find and get help as well. So there is a notification bell. What that does, if you click on that, is you will get a weekly announcement that I have dropped a new video, which I do every single Thursday. So hopefully you find this helpful and informative, and will keep watching, because my main goal is to help you in any way that I possibly can. So until next week, stay safe and stay healthy.